Are you thinking about moving to San Antonio, but you're not sure what to budget? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down the cost of living here in San Antonio. Hi, I'm Christine Johnson with Redbird Realty. Welcome to another episode of Serving San Antonio. This channel, I'm going to teach you everything there is about living here in San Antonio. So if you're into that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button above. In this episode, we're going to break down some of the cost of living things that I wish I had known before I moved here. The first thing we need to talk about is your housing expense, because that's going to be the biggest expense in your budget. So the first thing you want to decide, are you going to buy or are you going to rent? If you're thinking about buying, the average cost of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at about 1,200 square feet is going to cost you between about $185,000 and $215,000. But remember, San Antonio is huge, so depending on where you end up here in San Antonio, those prices really could fluctuate. Now, keep in mind, like let's say if you want to go live downtown San Antonio, where all the stuff is happening, you're probably going to spend a lot more money, about in the 500 plus range. But if you go to the outskirts and some of the other suburbs, you're going to spend a lot less and you're still going to get a really nice house. So yes, we are a large city, but we're still very affordable, which is why it's such a metropolitan city and why people want to move here. It's just like Austin and Dallas, it's just more affordable. So that's why we've got an influx of people moving here. So if you do decide to buy a home, just keep in mind for planning purposes that it takes about 4 weeks from the time we go under contract and then the time we close. So even if you have to move here early before you're closing, don't worry, we have plenty of temporary places to stay. I know when we moved here, I had to stay at a Hilton Garden Inn for 2 weeks with my family, and it was actually kind of fun. And we got to know the surroundings, so it gave us time to relax and do that. So don't worry, there's always something. My advice is get to learn the areas, get to learn the neighborhoods so that we can narrow down your search from price, square footage, and schools. And I'm happy to help with that whenever you're ready. However, if you're planning on renting, you should budget for a few things. You'll need a 1 month's rent and you'll need a security deposit. So you'll want to make sure you put that in your budget. And if you're wondering on time frame, we can usually find a place within 30 days for you to move in. And of course, the pricing on your rental is definitely going to differ depending on how many rooms you want and where in San Antonio it's going to be located. But the good news is the rents here in San Antonio are a lot less than the ones in Dallas and Austin. So let's switch gears and talk about some of the everyday costs that you might have to get accustomed to. Let's talk about transportation. Now, I will say if you're going to live here, you're probably going to need a car because of how spread out San Antonio is. However, we do have public transportation called Via Transport. And if you do use Via Transport, they offer a 31-day pass for $38. And then if you have a student ID, they have a discounted fare as well. And one of the great things about if you choose to use your own transportation is that our gas is really affordable, especially if you're coming from another area that it's really high. The gas here is about $1.79 to $1.89 per gallon. Not too bad, huh? So our state tax here is 0. But what most people don't know is that we have a very high sales tax. Sales tax in Texas is 6.25%. But the sales tax here in Bexar County is 8.25%. So that's definitely something you want to take into consideration. Something different about here is the property taxes are not based on the county you live in. They're based on where you live in the county. And one more cost you might have to take in if you're thinking about buying is an HOA, which is also known as a homeowners association. A lot of the homes here in San Antonio have an HOA. So if it's something that you don't want, you would really have to narrow down the area that you're going to live in. These HOAs can range in price depending on where it is, and also if it has amenities such as pools, sports complexes, etc. There are a lot of various costs when it comes to moving, and I hope this video gave you some insight into what it's like to live here in San Antonio. But as I've always said before, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching another episode of Serving San Antonio. I'm Christine Johnson with Redbird Realty.